This is KPRC 2 News at 10.
And we begin tonight with a winter weather alert and an Arctic blast headed our way, dropping temperatures into the teens, and the chances for snow and icy weather are rising.
We do have live storm team coverage for you tonight. Let's get right over to KPRC2 Chief Meteorologist Frank Billingsley for the very latest on the track.
And Frank? A lot to unpack right here. Take a look, first of all, at what we have currently. That's the rain that moved through here with 1 to 2 inches of it. That's out of here, so no issues there. And in fact, the wintry weather that we had across Texas is really beginning to diminish. But you'll notice this was a real mess out toward College Station to Navasota. So there's a lot of water on the roads and bridges. For that reason, a winter weather advisory has been extended to 4 o'clock in the morning because of bridges and overpasses, possibly patchy ice and some dangerous travel. So if you're the northwest, certainly continue to be careful. Now, currently we have 36 in Conroe, 39 in Houston, 41 in Lake Jackson, with a north wind at about 10 to 12. It's feeling more like the 20s out there and freezing in Houston. So speaking of freezing, we're going to be there for a while. We're going to start really getting there on Saturday, but by Sunday, we're at 32, 28, 16 Tuesday, 30 for Wednesday and Thursday, and 28 on Friday. When you look at that 16, that's for downtown. If you're at Bush, Tomball, Katy, Conroe, it's even colder. Single digits up through Livingston, Cleveland, Huntsville, 7 in Brenham, 6 in Columbus, 12 in Wharton, and it doesn't get that much colder as we go into the afternoon. I'll talk about that coming up. So the Arctic air really fastens its grip on Saturday. Then Sunday, the wintry weather arrives. I'm going to show you where that's coming from and talk about the ice, because the ice accumulation, that's going to be key to Monday. And then that dangerously cold weather sets in on Tuesday. It doesn't get it out of here until the next weekend. More straight ahead. Chris?
Thank you, Frank. Take a look at this cell phone video. It captures the devastating and deadly moments along an interstate. Look at that. That's an 18-wheeler just careening on top of the traffic there on an interstate this morning up in North Texas, where that massive pileup right here left 6 people dead, more than a dozen others injured. Take a look. It happened along I-35 up there in Fort Worth, where freezing rain and sleet overnight caused more than 130 vehicles to slide and crash, one on top of another, including several 18-wheelers. At least 65 people were injured. Cranes and the jaws of life were used to rescue people who were trapped inside their cars. And
there are several potential life-saving items you may want to make sure are in your car right now, just in case you get stranded on icy roads. KPRC2's Michael Lepardi continues our live team coverage from Houston's northwest side tonight. Michael?
Dominique, some of these are things that you would find right around your house, like a blanket and a flashlight, for example. But with the temperatures dropping, now is the time to make sure they're ready to go as you hit the road.
When the weather changes, a lot can happen on Houston area roads.
Bottom line, preparation is key.
That's Joshua Zuber, spokesperson for AAA Texas. The organization recommends drivers keep an emergency road kit for the winter.
That includes a first aid kit. A lot of us don't go anywhere without our cell phones, but don't forget your cell phone charger. Make sure you've got a flashlight with extra fresh batteries.
The list also includes items like water, snacks, blankets, warm clothing, an ice scraper, paper towels, jumper cables, and a basic toolkit.
Make sure, again, you have all of these various items in your car.
For driver Chelsea Gray,
I'm native Houstonian, not used to cold weather whatsoever.
The cold temperatures aren't exactly welcome, but she told me she's got some of those items in her vehicle already.
I have a blanket, just because I always have a blanket in the car. I have a flashlight because at my job I use a flashlight at the hospital, so it's in my backpack.
Besides the kit, AAA also tells drivers to check their tires, engine, and battery.
Being proactive, making sure that battery is in good condition will certainly save you a lot of time and a headache down the road, especially as we get these incredibly cold temperatures, should the forecast verify.
And AAA says that some of the biggest issues they deal with are battery related, so consider getting that battery checked if it's over 3 years old. We're live in Northwest Houston. Michael Lepardi, KPRC 2 News.
Thank you, Michael. Well, from cars to your home, the state is expecting record electric use when the Arctic blast rolls in.
If the ice causes outages or power surges, that could pose problems for tens of thousands of Houstonians working and, of course, learning remotely right now. KPRC 2's Roseanne Aragon continues our live team coverage tonight from Jersey Village. Roseanne?
With extremely cold weather on the way, it's easy to forget to protect your electronics. And with everybody working from home and learning from home, something as simple as this could do you a whole lot of good and save you a whole lot of money. With very low, even freezing temperatures making its way to Greater Houston, it's time to think about electronics. The threat of falling ice and tree branches hitting power lines, something Alltech specialist Michael Smith knows well.
Things can stop working instantaneously.
With many more people working and learning from home, laptops, phones, chargers, and other devices, and all the data within them could be at risk. The answer?
Your standard home surge protection here, your power strips that you can put in around your house, different amounts of outlets depending on what you want to put in it. They have different joule ratings. The higher your joule rating, the larger of a surge that it can take.
In addition to joule rating, Best Buy experts suggest
over time in Houston, as that current surge protector that you have continues to protect your equipment and take blast after blast after blast, it eventually gets tired.
Replace them every 3 to 5 years. She also recommends unplugging unnecessary appliances like washers and dryers. Make sure to back up your most important files, and then...
This is one of our best sellers right here. It's a 950 VA.
There's backup batteries.
As soon as the power goes out, boom, it should keep it up and running so you can shut it down safely or save your work.
And with potentially no internet, your phone could be used as a hotspot. Phone companies like Verizon say they're also prepared with their own backup power and ability to extend their coverage if necessary. All of these efforts to be prepared and protect.
You spend a lot of money on your equipment. You want to keep them safe.
Now would also be a good time to back up your most important photos, videos, and documents that you save on your computer or your laptop. You can back them up on the cloud or also an external hard drive. That way, if a power surge does damage your device, you have a backup. Reporting live from Jersey Village tonight, Roseanne Aragon, KPRC 2 News.
Good advice. Thank you, Roseanne. HISD and other local school districts are telling parents to please keep an eye on their social media pages for any potential closings next week. We will, of course, keep you posted on air, online, and through our apps. And don't forget, if the power does go out, you can stream our newscasts on our app and online at click2houston.com. You can also get the most up-to-date forecast by downloading Frank's free forecast weather app. Now to breaking news from Houston's north side tonight. 2 Houston police officers shoot and kill a man who investigators say refused to put down a gun. It happened on Goodson Drive near Airline Drive in Greenspoint around 8:45 tonight. Officers were originally called out on a criminal mischief call. The officers were not hurt. More details as we get them on click2houston.com.
Tomorrow, former President Trump's legal team begins its defense. The core argument is that the former president was exercising free speech and never explicitly called for violence, leading to the deadly insurrection at the Capitol. As NBC's Alice Barr reports, House managers accused Mr. Trump today of a pattern of condoning violence among his supporters and asserting the rioters believed that they were following his orders.
House impeachment managers resting their case that former President Trump incited the deadly riot at the U.S. Capitol, closing with an urgent plea to convict and a dire warning.
If we let it go unanswered, who's to say it won't happen again?
They accuse the former president of doing repeated and lasting damage to American democracy.
The insurrection was the most violent and dangerous episode so far in Donald Trump's continuing pattern and practice of inciting violence.
House prosecutors calling the spring 2020 storming of the Michigan State Capitol a dress rehearsal for what happened months later in Washington.
He had just seen how easily his words and actions inspired violence in Michigan.
Laying out a series of instances dating back to the deadly clash in Charlottesville in 2017. In each case, they say the former president fired up his followers and refused to condemn them or take responsibility afterward. House managers using the Capitol rioters' own words.
We were invited by the President of the United States!
Seeking to cement the case they were acting at the former president's direction.
They truly believed that the whole intrusion was at the president's orders. And we know that because they said so.
I thought I was following my president. I thought I was following what we were called to do.
The impeachment managers aiming to draw an indelible line between former President Trump's words and actions and the deadly violence of January 6th. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And you can watch NBC News' live coverage of the impeachment trial tomorrow morning at 11 right here on KPRC2 and click2houston.com.
President Biden says 200 million more vaccines are headed to the U.S. The boost will bring our country's total to 600 million vaccines. The president made that announcement after touring labs at the National Institute of Health. And earlier in the Oval Office, President Biden emphasized the need to invest in modern and sustainable infrastructure. He also said our country needs to get ahead of China, which is aggressively outpacing us in building.
You do not need to quarantine if you have received both coronavirus vaccines. In updated guidance, the CDC says those who are fully vaccinated will no longer need to isolate if exposed to somebody with the virus. You must also be within 3 months of that last dose and have experienced no symptoms following the exposure.
Still to come tonight, more adults continue to get the COVID vaccine, but when will it be ready for kids? We are answering parents' questions coming up.
And living on the moon, the New Deal making it a giant leap closer. Next on KPRC2 at 10.
New at 10 o'clock, reusable rockets aren't the only thing that SpaceX can land. The company just landed a $330 million contract from NASA. The new mission is to launch 2 pieces of a future moon space station. NASA plans to orbit the station called Gateway around the moon as part of the Artemis program, the same program planned to establish a human presence in deep space. Liftoff is scheduled sometime in 2024.
KPRC2 is your vaccine central, from babies to teens. Tonight, our children is the focus. As more adults get the coronavirus vaccine, when will it be ready for kids? Keith Garvin, a member of our Vaccine Central team, live now in the Katy area with what parents need to know. Keith?
Dominic, while kids typically aren't getting serious cases of COVID-19, they should still be considered for the vaccine because they can be transmitters of the virus. Tonight, we are answering the top 5 questions parents have right now.
Houston is one of 20 cities where Moderna vaccine trials for teens are underway. Danielle Collins' 12-year-old son, Michael, is ready.
He's the child of a healthcare provider. He hears the stories and he understands the burden, and I think he's anxious to get past this as well.
Collins says she felt a weight lifted when she got the vaccine and hopes her son Michael will soon feel the same.
Such a relief of a burden that I knew was heavy, but I didn't know how heavy until I received that vaccine and started to feel a little bit more confident that I'm going to make it through this all right.
While vaccine testing is underway for teens, other parents are wondering about smaller kids. Brittany Parker Kerrigan is 29 weeks pregnant with 2 small boys at home. She just received her second COVID vaccine.
Every single person who gets vaccinated helps someone else that they may have possibly passed it on to.
The hope? To protect not just her family, but her growing baby too.
If I were to get this COVID vaccine, I could possibly pass antibodies on to my unborn child to where when they're born and when they're immunosuppressed like every newborn is, they may have that protection.
We're able to provide at least a temporary measure for that developing baby.
Dr. Kirsty Agard with Texas Children's says one of the biggest concerns parents are asking about is vaccines during pregnancy.
There is no biologic reason whatsoever why a pregnant woman or her developing fetus would be anticipated to suffer any long-term outcomes.
While newborns would be covered if mom is vaccinated, how long will bigger kids have to wait for the vaccine?
They're hoping that sometime during the summer that either one or both might be ready for 12 years and up. That's our hope.
Another common question from parents, if your child already had COVID, do they still need the vaccine? Dr. Agard says yes.
The vaccine may provide additional protection against new and emerging variants that we're hearing so much about.
Parents are also concerned about the other vaccines kids may be scheduled to get.
Currently, the recommendations are to not have any other vaccines either 2 weeks prior to or 2 weeks after COVID vaccine is given.
The good news, doctors say the vaccine trials in kids are already showing promise.
We're watching them under a microscope very carefully, and they are doing extremely well. These are incredibly safe vaccines.
And the vaccine trial for teens is currently looking for volunteers. Teens will receive up to $1,000 for participating. We have more information on that at click2houston.com/vaccines. And our focus on children and the vaccine will continue tomorrow with a special Ask 2. Christine Noel and I will moderate that. Tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock, you can register for the virtual event on click2houston.com/ask2. Reporting live from the Katy area, Keith Garvin, KPRC2 News.
Thank you, Keith. Well, we've got a couple of days to prepare for weather we haven't seen around here since the mid-'80s.
Yeah, you remember that time, right?
I do.
It was cold.
Yeah, 82, 83 we had a stretch, 89 we had the stretch, but this day after day after day of freezing numbers we have not had in 3 decades. So a lot of people have no clue what we're in for. So we're going to try to we're going to try to get you there. Not many sunsets tonight, as you can imagine. However, take a look at this shot from Victor out at the airport. That's something, isn't it?
Wow.
That's beautiful. And weirdly, you almost have an American flag going on.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Red, white, and blue there. All right. Thanks for that. Temperatures continue to be on the cold side. You can subtract 7 degrees from whatever your thermometer says because those winds out there are making it feel even colder. 39, 42 at Hobby, 40 at Sugarland, 47 in Galveston. So tomorrow generally hovers around 40. We start out at 36 in the morning, 39 at 10, 41, 42, 41. Looking at 10, 20% chance of a little leftover drizzle. But generally cloudy and cold all the way through. That storm system that moved through this evening has gotten on out of here. I can see not much else going on there, but I want you to notice this. This is the low pressure system that's going to create this nightmare on Monday. See that spin right there? That is a well-defined low. It's going to move right across the Rockies, right into Texas, pick up this Pacific moisture, pull in some Gulf moisture, and that's going to be the problem as we get into Monday. So here we go. Tomorrow, cold and cloudy, as I said, and Saturday too. Not much really changes Saturday, except we do get more of a north wind coming down, so that Arctic air really begins to surge in here, and that goes through the column of air, which means it really saturates things with cold air, so that when this Pacific moisture gets here, and this is Sunday morning, we may see a little bit of winter drizzle, at least sleet, maybe a little snow up in Dallas area as early as Sunday morning, but it's really the big show that starts on Sunday night. This is 9 p.m. You can see there's the ice and the snow. That continues to move in. This is 7 a.m., rain along the coast, and then ice through Houston, snow back through Dallas, 2 to 4 inches from Waco to Dallas. But it's really looking like ice for us. And then the really cold air comes in here on Tuesday, and another shot at some snow as we move into Wednesday. So let's talk about the snow for Monday, which really, I think it's going to be ice. That's just the potential, and really this factors in the ice. So as we look at just the ice, we've put together this graphic, and you can see these pinks. Now, you're looking at 1/10 of an inch of ice, 2/10, 3/10, 3 to 4/10. That's the accumulation. But I want to add this to it. At 1/10 of an inch of ice, you have slick roads. That's what they had in the Dallas-Fort Worth area today. So that's all it takes is a little bit of ice. You get to almost 1/2 inch of ice, you have tree damage and power lines going down. And that, certainly with this darker pink, is the potential that we're going to have to watch out for as we move into Monday. So it's really all about a major ice storm. And that's going to happen into Valentine's night, especially Monday, President's Day. Don't plan on travel until we get closer and we can tell you it's safe, because right now it looks like it's not going to be. And then on Tuesday, more sunshine, but very cold. There's that 70% chance of snow, maybe some ice then on Wednesday. We don't get out of this until finally the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we go back into the 60s and the 70s. A long stretch of dangerously cold weather.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Frank.
Sports director Randy McElvoy joining us now. Rockets tailspin continued tonight.
Yeah, it was ugly for part of this one. Missing Christian Wood, then they lost 2 more players to injuries tonight. Kind of been a theme of this season. Facing a good Miami Heat team, tough to overcome when you have those setbacks. We'll show you the third quarter collapse that really cost them tonight. Plus, Astros third baseman Alex Bregman and Mattress Mac giving back in a big way today. AB on that and the Astros season ahead. Coming up next. All right, time for sports. This past two-game road trip showed when the Rockets don't bring the intensity defensively start to finish, it's going to be kind of tough to win basketball games tonight. A third-quarter defensive meltdown really cost them a chance to turn the page, though, against the Miami Heat tonight. Second quarter, Rockets actually looking good, up 8. Eric Gordon hits the 3 at 17 tonight. Third quarter, Rockets got outscored 28-10. Jimmy Butler drives and finishes. He's out of Tom Ball. Good to see him back in town. Fourth quarter, Rockets got it to within 6. John Hall knocks down the triple, 97-94, but the Rockets couldn't get a rebound in the final seconds, and they end up losing 101-94.
Yeah, 3-point game, and all we needed was a stop. And we got the first stop. They got an offensive rebound. We got a second stop. They got an offensive rebound. Wish we could have come up with that basketball at the end.
All right, Kelvin Sampson and the UH Cougs affected by COVID again, not directly, but Memphis and East Carolina, their next couple of opponents, Sunday and Tuesday, have both been hit. Both games postponed. No makeup dates have been announced. Girls high school basketball playoffs tipping off tonight around the area. Travis and Tompkins out in Katy tonight at Merrill Center. Third quarter, Tompkins Crystal Smith with the steal and the lay-in. Nice finish. Falcons rolling 45-13. Then Smith on the break. The sweep behind the pass to Logan Johnson. 2 of her 20. Tompkins rolls to the 68-37 first round win. Game 2 had Rich Point taking on Seven Lakes tonight. Spartans are going to work it inside to freshman Justice Carlton. She'll get the easy bucket, but Rich Point's Alasia Fontenot was on fire. The corner 3. And then long range again. I mean, she was feeling it. How about one more, Trey? Yeah, she's got it. Rich Point advances 66-60 the final. Astros announced today home start times are returning to normal at Minute Maid Park. Most games now will be at 7:10. Weekend times will stay the same. By the way, spring training opens next week with pitchers and catchers, while Alex Bregman and the full squad begin on the 22nd.
It feels more normal. I think guys are prepared, know what to expect, and we're ready. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun spring training. I can't wait to get down there. It's about a week out for me. I'm headed down there in about a week, so looking forward to it. Great group of guys and great coaching staff.
All right, we were with Bregman today as he joined Mattress Mac to help a family he and his mother became aware of, who they had a Christmas Eve tragedy. It really hit home with them. Bregman and Jim McInville stepping up, surprised the family today with enough furniture to fill their home.
This family's house burned down, and the only thing that was left was this painting that I signed. So my mom and I were talking on the phone. We were like, hey, we gotta do something to help. So I think about gallery furniture, like furnishing a house that just burned down.
All right, way to go, Mattress Mac and Alex Bregman. Way to step up.
You bet. Thanks, Randy. We'll be right back. Just before Fallon tonight, traffic was moving a little slowly in Indiana.
Oh, that's a pretty good pace there.
Actually, that kind of is. I don't know what I'm talking about. After a herd of cows, about 75 of them made it down the highway last weekend. Luckily, an off-duty officer who just so happened to be nearby in a cruiser quickly got in front of the herd and drove ahead with his police lights flashing. That officer, along with others, began the corralling process. Turns out these cows escaped from a nearby farm.
Uh-oh.
I'd say no injuries reported.
Giddy up.
Those cows had horsepower. All right, here's a look at this roller coaster. We're going to go from 38 on Saturday morning to 32 to 28 to 16. I want to mention that ice again, because once we get to that half-inch of ice, that becomes a real problem for tree damage and power lines.
Yes, it does. Thank you, Frank, and thank you for joining us. The Tonight Show is next.
We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.